Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we are going to take a look at another horrible case with you. A girl lived in Bundi, a city in the Indian state of Rajasthan. Originally, her home was on Bibanwa Road in Dayanand Colony, and her name was Urvashi Satyanarayana Vaishnav. But Urvashi was now living in Sector 19 of Kopar Kairane in Navi Mumbai. She was living there with her brother Paras Vaishnav and her cousin Jitendra. Urvashi had been living there for the past 6 or 7 years and was working at a restaurant called Sona, which was also located in Nerul, Navi Mumbai. She worked at this restaurant as a waitress. Despite that, her job was very good. She was earning well from it, and thanks to this job she also had a red Baleno car. But then, on December 13th, 2022, just like every other day, Urvashi got into her car at 9:30 a.m. to go to work. At that time, she was accompanied by a friend named Riaz Khan. While she was on her way to the restaurant, her car was being driven by Riaz. After dropping Urvashi at the restaurant, Riaz returned to her house around 1:30 p.m. Once he got there, Riaz told her brother Paras that he was having a headache and asked for some coffee. Paras made him some coffee and gave it to him. After drinking the coffee, Riaz took Urvashi's car and left for some other place. Time kept passing, and eventually it was time for Urvashi's shift to end. Urvashi's shift used to end at 5 p.m., and every day after her shift, she would call her brother Paras. She would call to tell him that her shift was over and she was coming home. Sometimes her brother would come to pick her up, sometimes her friends, or sometimes she would come home alone. But on that day, Urvashi didn't call her brother for some reason, and when no call came, Paras started getting very worried. Still, despite so much time passing, Urvashi didn't return home. Then Paras tried calling her, but she didn't answer his calls. Now, since she didn't come home and wasn't answering her phone, her brother became extremely tense. That night, Urvashi's friend Riaz came alone to her house, parked her car, and left again on his bullet motorcycle. But during this time, Urvashi's cousin brother Jitendra saw everything Riaz was doing, and he also noticed that Urvashi was not with him. At that time, their brother-in-law Nitin was also living in Mumbai, so Paras called him and told him about the situation, that Urvashi hadn't come home from work. Hearing this, Nitin was also shocked and rushed to Kopar Kairane. After that, Paras also called Urvashi's friend Riaz and told him what was going on. Riaz too appeared shocked upon hearing this. Then all of them started searching for Urvashi together, but they still couldn't find any trace of her. They waited for her to return home on December 14th, 2022, but even after all that time, she didn't come back. After waiting so long, that night Paras, Jitendra, Nitin and Urvashi's friend, Riaz, all went to the Nerul police station and filed a missing person complaint for Urvashi. After registering the complaint, the police also began searching for her. But then, on December 14th, 2022, some local villagers from Damani were passing over a bridge around noon, and one of them happened to look down at one of the bridge's pillars. On that pillar, they saw a human body lying face down, with half the head submerged in water. Seeing the body in that condition, all the people there got extremely frightened and scared. This Dhamani village falls under the Panvel Taluka in the Raigad district of the Indian state of Maharashtra, and a river named Gadi flows through this village. The area around this place is full of hills and forests. It was from the bridge over this river that those people saw the body. After seeing the body like that, they quickly informed the Panvel police station. After receiving the information, the police arrived at the spot within a short time where the body was lying. Upon reaching the location, the police took possession of the body. Then they carefully examined it. The body belonged to a woman. Seeing the girl's dead body, the police initially thought that she might have died due to drowning in the river. But when the police closely inspected the girl's dead body, they found multiple injury marks on her, and in addition, there were marks on the front side of her neck, indicating she had been strangled with something. Seeing all this, the police began to doubt their initial assumption. Looking at the girl's dead body in that condition, the police now believed that she might have been murdered. After that, the police began investigating the area where the girl's dead body had been found. However, the police were able to identify the features of the body properly because the girl's face was intact. But despite the girl's face being intact, none of the people present at the scene could recognize her. In fact, the locals had never seen this girl in the area before. Upon learning this, the police suspected that the girl must have come from somewhere else, which is why the locals were unable to identify her. Sometime later, the police sent the girl's dead body for a post-mortem to Nana Sahib Hospital in Panvel. A little while after that, her post-mortem report came in. The report stated that the girl did not die due to drowning in water, but rather her death was caused by strangulation. The post-mortem report also stated that the injury marks found on the girl's body were likely inflicted when she was resisting someone while trying to save herself. The report suggested that this might be a murder case, and according to the post-mortem, the girl had been murdered not long ago, only around 24 hours or less. After learning all this, the police were now fully convinced that this was indeed a murder case. Therefore, by December 15th, 2022, a murder case was registered at Panvel police station against an unknown person. The police then began the investigation and started working to identify the girl. Since it was a murder case, the investigation was handed over from the local police to Crime Branch Unit 2. The crime branch first went to Damani village, the location where the girl's dead body had been found, and after arriving there, they thoroughly searched the entire area again. After that, the crime branch team also re-examined the dead body at the hospital. Although the police had found sandals on the girl, which she was wearing, along with a few other small items, no jewelry of any kind was found near the girl's dead body. Since there was no jewelry, the police speculated that it was possible the killer had removed all of her jewelry before disposing of her body. But then the crime branch notices the sandals recovered from the girl by the police. Looking at these sandals, the crime branch starts thinking about how they can identify the girl using them. To identify her, the crime branch sends out information to all police stations in their district and nearby areas, stating that they have found the body of an unidentified girl. They also instructed that if anyone has filed a missing complaint or comes to file one, they should be informed immediately. After that, the crime branch officers once again examined the girl's sandals. These sandals appeared to be recently purchased and looked new. The name of the company that manufactured them was also mentioned on the sandals, and it seemed to be a local footwear brand. The case was becoming very difficult for the crime branch because they had to identify the girl using only these sandals. The biggest challenge was that many other girls might have bought the same type of sandals and might be wearing them as well. So the police began investigating which shop had sold these sandals. To find this out, they contacted the company that manufactured them. The police questioned the company representatives, asking where their sandals were supplied and which shops sold this specific type. The police also asked the company which shops had placed orders for these sandals in recent times. The company then informed the police about 3 shops where this type of sandal had been supplied. One shop was in Panvel, the second in Vashi, and the third in Mumbai. After getting this information, the crime branch formed 3 separate teams. These teams went to the respective shops and showed the shopkeepers a photo of the girl, asking if they recognized her. This investigation by the crime branch was going on between December 15th and 16th. At the Vashi shop, there was a salesman who immediately recognized the sandals and claimed that he was the one who had sold them. The crime branch then showed him the dead girl's photo, and the salesman also recognized her from the picture. He told the crime branch team that she was the same girl who had come to their shop to buy the sandals, and that it had happened just a week or two ago. Since the shop had CCTV cameras, the crime branch team began reviewing the footage to continue their investigation. While checking the footage, the crime branch started reviewing the recordings from December 6th, 2022. The salesman was also watching the footage. After a while, upon seeing a customer, he quickly said that she was the one who had bought the sandals from their shop. When the police closely examined the footage, they also believed she was the same girl they were looking for. In the footage, a boy was seen with the girl, and he looked like a bodybuilder. The girl selected and took the sandals while the boy was seen paying for them at the billing counter. After watching the footage, the police checked the bill copy, which was in the girl's name, and that's when they learned that her name was Urvashi Vaishnav. The police had also found out that the girl was a resident of Kopar Kairane in Navi Mumbai. But now the biggest task before the police was to identify the boy seen with the girl in the footage. Because of this, the police had extracted a photo of the boy from the CCTV footage. The police then assumed that if Urvashi was from Kopar Kairane, the boy might also be from Kopar Kairane, or a nearby area. If that was the case, then he might be going to a gym in or around that area. With this thought, the police began to gather information about all the gyms in Kopar Kairane and nearby areas. They were showing the photo to people to identify the boy and were also checking the CCTV cameras of all the gyms. The police wanted to find this boy because they believed he might know something about what had happened to Urvashi. Several days had passed during the investigation, but then on December 17th, 2022, a police officer from Nerul police station called a man and asked him to come to the station. This man's name was Paras Vaishnav. After Paras arrived at the police station, his cousin Jitendra and his brother-in-law, Nitin, also reached Nerul police station. When all three of them arrived, the police questioned them and later asked them to go to Panvel police station. When the three of them reached Panvel police station, the police showed them a photo of a girl. This was the photo of the same girl whose dead body had been found by the police. Upon seeing the photo, all three recognized the girl and said that it was Urvashi. After they identified Urvashi, the crime branch began questioning them. The crime branch asked who Urvashi was, what she did, and how she went missing. They also inquired about the events of the day Urvashi disappeared. By now, the police had found the deceased girl's relatives, so the case was no longer going to be as difficult for them. The crime branch also asked the three of them if they suspected anyone who could have done something like this to Urvashi. Surprisingly, without any hesitation, all three blamed Urvashi's friend Riaz. They told the police that Riaz was the one who had taken Urvashi with him that morning and had even told her that he would drop her at the restaurant. They also told the police that on the day Urvashi went missing, Riaz had secretly parked her car at their house and left on his bullet bike alone. Riaz hadn't informed anyone, asked anything, or spoken to anyone that day. Additionally, the three told the police that even though Riaz had accompanied them to file Urvashi's missing complaint at the police station, the most shocking thing was that he himself had been missing since that day. Paras had even called Riaz to ask about Urvashi, but Riaz pretended not to know anything. He quickly cut the call and never called Paras back or answered any of his calls. Riaz had been missing since December 15th, 2022, but when the police showed the same CCTV footage to Urvashi's two brothers, they immediately confirmed that the boy in the footage with Urvashi was indeed Riaz. Meanwhile, the crime branch team was also checking CCTV footage from all gyms as part of their investigation into Riaz. But soon the crime branch found out that Riaz was a gym trainer at a gym in Gansoli. Riaz used to give personal training at the gym, and the police had also obtained his address. Riaz lived in building number 26 of Mahada Colony in Gautam Nagar, Govandi West, Mumbai. So now, after learning his address, the police decided to go to his house. They wanted to know whether Riaz had really killed Urvashi, and if he had, then why he did it. But when the police went to that address, they did not find Riaz there either. Only his wife and daughter were present, but Riaz himself was not there. The police then asked his wife about him, but she told them that Riaz had not come home for the past 2 days, and that she also did not know where he was. After learning this, the police continued their investigation to find Riaz just as before. During this investigation, the police also retrieved Riaz's call details and location history. From Riaz's CDR, the police found out that on the evening of December 13th, 2022, Riaz had spoken on the phone about 9 times with the same person. The police then investigated that number as well, and upon doing so, they learned that the number was registered under the name Imran Sheikh. After this, the police checked this person's location too, and it was revealed that on the evening of December 13th, 2022, both Riaz and Imran were at the same location. Their location first appeared in an area called Shilfata, after which they went to Narul and then to Kanda colony. Besides this, they also went to Nara village, Akurli, and finally Panvel. Urvashi's location was also seen with Riaz and Imran after Narul, but then her location signal stopped. After that, Riaz and Imran both went to Panvel and stayed there for a while. But then they both returned to Shilfata, and from there their locations diverged. However, by checking Imran's location, the police now knew that Imran Sheikh was also involved with Riaz. But the police did not have to work very hard to find Imran, because he was at his house in Indian Oil Nagar, near Govandi. The police arrested Imran by December 18th, 2022, and began interrogating him. After that, with Imran's help, the police also caught Riaz, and once they had him, they started questioning both of them. During this interrogation, Riaz and Imran told the police that they had killed Urvashi together. After hearing this, the police also asked them what the reason was that made them kill Urvashi. Riaz then told the police everything that led him to kill Urvashi. He said that he first met Urvashi at the restaurant where she worked. That's where their friendship began, and over time it grew so deep that they both fell in love. After that, they started living together in a sort of cohabitation. Then Urvashi introduced Riaz to her family, which is why her family knew him. Riaz had even been to Urvashi's ancestral village in Bundi, Rajasthan. However, Urvashi had introduced Riaz to her family as just a friend, not as her boyfriend. But by then, she had fallen deeply in love with him and wanted to marry him as soon as possible. In fact, Riaz had promised Urvashi that they would get married in January 2023. But gradually, as time passed, Urvashi came to know that Riaz was already married and had a daughter. Moreover, according to some reports, Riaz had been married 3 times in total. He had divorced 2 of his wives and was currently living with his 3rd wife. Still, Riaz not only made Urvashi his girlfriend, but also falsely promised to marry her. But now, after learning everything about Riaz, Urvashi became extremely angry with him and was deeply shocked by all of it. After finding out the truth, Urvashi even threatened Riaz, saying that she would file a fraud case against him at the police station and tell her family everything about him. During all this, there was a major fight between Urvashi and Riaz. However, after some time, the fight settled down and the 2 of them started living together again as they did before. But even then, Urvashi kept pressuring Riaz to get married and repeatedly threatened him. She also told her boyfriend Riaz that she would go to his house and tell his wife everything about him. Urvashi was making all these threats because she didn't want to be separated from Riaz at any cost. But seeing her boyfriend Riaz's behavior, she had started to sense that he wanted to distance himself from her. But Urvashi didn't want Riaz to leave her, and when Riaz realized this, he immediately started thinking about killing Urvashi. In fact, Riaz had come to understand that as long as Urvashi was alive, she wouldn't leave him, and if she told everyone about their relationship, it would bring him great disgrace. But after deciding to kill his girlfriend, Riaz was now trying to figure out how to carry out the plan, and right around then, he received a call from Imran. Imran told Riaz over the phone that he needed some money and wanted to borrow some from him, promising to pay it back later. Hearing this, an idea popped into Riaz's head. He thought, why not involve Imran in the plan to kill Urvashi? After thinking this through, Riaz told his friend Imran that he would have to help him with something, and once the job was done, he wouldn't need to borrow money from him. Riaz said he would give him 30,000 rupees, and there would be no need to return it. Hearing this, Imran got tempted and joined the conspiracy to kill Urvashi. Afterward, when both Riaz and Imran murdered Urvashi together, Riaz gave Imran 30,000 rupees as promised. The police were investigating the case based entirely on what Riaz had told them. Then the police also asked them where and how they had killed Urvashi. In response, Riaz told the police that on the morning of December 13th, 2022, he went to Urvashi's house on his bike and parked it there. Then he took her in her own car to drop her off at a restaurant. Later, he returned to Urvashi's house at 1:30 p.m. and had coffee there. At that time, he acted normal so that after her murder, her brother or family wouldn't suspect him. That evening, he went to Shilfata to pick up Imran. After picking Imran up from Shilfata, he went to Narul again to pick up Urvashi. At that time, Urvashi's shift had ended, so she agreed to go with Riaz. Riaz was driving the car himself. Urvashi was sitting in the passenger seat beside him, and Imran was sitting in the back seat. Then, at Riaz's signal, Imran pulled out a nylon rope and began strangling Urvashi with it. In fact, according to Riaz's plan, Imran had already kept that nylon rope in the car. While Imran was strangling Urvashi, Riaz held both of her hands so she couldn't move much. This way, Imran and Riaz together killed Urvashi in the moving car. After murdering her, they both headed toward Panvel. Actually, Urvashi had come here several times before with Riaz to hang out, which is why Riaz was very familiar with the place. It was a very deserted area where very few people visited, and at night no one came at all. Imran and Riaz then came to this place at night and threw Urvashi's dead body into the river from the bridge near Damani village. After doing this, both of them thought that Urvashi's body would sink in the river. But due to the darkness, they couldn't see properly, and that's why the body ended up falling on a pillar. Because it landed on the pillar, only half of Urvashi's head was submerged in the water, while the rest of her body remained hanging on the pillar. However, before throwing the body into the water, Riaz kept Urvashi's purse, ATM card, and identity card with him. After this, both of them returned to Shilfata. After reaching Shilfata, Riaz dropped Imran off. Then, around 10 p.m., Riaz also refueled Urvashi's car because the long trip had drained the fuel. He had already thought that if he didn't refuel Urvashi's car and just parked it at her house as it was, Urvashi's brother would immediately suspect him. After doing all this, Riaz used Urvashi's ATM card early in the morning on December 14th, 2022, to withdraw 50,000 rupees from one ATM, and later he withdrew another 150,000 rupees from an ATM in Narul. Although some ATMs have a daily withdrawal limit, whether someone can withdraw 200,000 rupees using one ATM card completely depends on the person's bank or that bank's ATM card policies. But after hearing all this from Riaz, the police began searching for evidence against him. Urvashi and Riaz were seen together at an ATM in Kopar Kairane. The police learned this from CCTV footage in which Riaz was clearly seen withdrawing money using Urvashi's ATM card. In another separate CCTV clip, Riaz was seen refueling at a petrol pump. Apart from this, the police also had the call details and location history of both of them. But the biggest challenge for the police was that when Riaz and Imran murdered Urvashi, or when they disposed of her body, there were no witnesses to any of it. Because of this, the police had no eyewitnesses, only circumstantial and technical evidence. Then, on March 16, 2023, Panvel Police submitted the charge sheet in court. After that, the trial against Imran and Riaz began, and so far 49 people have testified in this case. But during the trial, Riaz filed for bail several times, and every time his request was rejected. However, suddenly on September 2, 2024, the Sessions Court granted Riaz bail and he was released. There is no update about Imran. Because of the way Riaz deceived Urvashi with a fake relationship, Urvashi's mother, brother, and other family members are demanding the death penalty for Riaz. But sadly, for now, Riaz is roaming free on bail. This is the current update on the case and it is still ongoing in court. But we will keep an eye on this case, and as soon as we get any new updates, we will inform you through a David True Crime Channel community post or in the comment section of this video. So with that, the Urvashi Satyanarayana Vaishnav murder case comes to an end right here. If you appreciate our efforts, like and share this video. If you haven't subscribed, do so now. Thank you. Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we are going to take a look at another real story with you. These days, courier companies play an important role in all our lives. It seems like there's hardly a home where a courier hasn't rung the doorbell or knocked at the door at some point. Nowadays, it feels like the marketplace has moved right into our homes. Whether you need rice, lentils, oil, clothes, soap, electronics, shoes, slippers, sweets, just about anything, you can get it delivered to your doorstep. You just place the order and it gets delivered right to your doorstep. Courier companies have become a part of our lives. Today's story is about a courier boy working in one such company. It's about how one man uses his brain, gets tempted by greed through this courier company, and ends up committing a murder. After the murder, there are no clues, no leads, nothing. Yet, the police managed to catch the killer based on just one detail. The story is set in Bengaluru, about 194 kilometers away, in a place called Arasikere. In the same area of Arasikere, there used to be a boy named Hemant. Hemant studied up to graduation, but he dropped out before the final year. His father had passed away. He had a brother named Manja Nayak. He used to live with him and their mother in that same area of Bengaluru. After dropping out of college, he went to Bengaluru in search of a job. However, he couldn't settle there and returned to his hometown. After coming back, he tried various things and eventually started working for a courier company, the kind that delivers your packages to your doorstep. The company's name was E-Cart Logistics. Hemant's life was going fairly well. Then, on February 7th, one of Hemant's colleagues from E-Cart called Hemant's brother, Manja Nayak, and said that Hemant had come to the office that day, picked up the items for delivery and left. But since then, he hasn't returned, and now it's evening. His phone is also switched off. Now, when you work at a courier company as a delivery boy, your phone is very important because it tells you where to deliver the next order, how to contact the customer, and what their number is. But for the first time, his phone was switched off, so he said he was really worried and asked where he could be. Even Manja got worried for his brother. They searched for him here and there. This was on February 7th. They looked for him the whole night. When they couldn't find him by nightfall, on February 8th, 2023, Manja went to the police station and filed a report. He told the police that his younger brother, Hemant, who works at a courier company, left the office yesterday and has been missing since, and his phone is switched off. Usually, in such missing person cases, what the police often do is they thought he must have gone out somewhere of his own will, maybe out for a walk or hanging out with friends. Young people often hide things from their families, so maybe he left to hide something. They assumed he would return in a day or two, So while the police did file a missing person report, they didn't take it very seriously and didn't make much effort to look for him. Cases like this come to the station every day. So the police registered Hemant's missing report, but just sat on the assumption that he would return soon. He's a young guy. Where could he go? Days started passing, and when the family came asking, the police just kept saying, we're searching, but we haven't found him yet. About 8 days pass. The missing person report was filed on February 8th, and by February 16th, that date arrives. On February 16th, in the very city where Hemant used to live in Arasikere, an unclaimed body is suddenly found under a railway bridge. The police are informed about the body. First, the railway police recover the body and then they inform the local police. During the post-mortem, it is revealed that the person was killed with a knife. Additionally, there was an attempt to burn the body, which made the face completely unrecognizable. When the matter of burning the body came up and the stabbing with a knife was revealed, the case clearly turned into a murder. The local police then registered a case of murder and took possession of the body. When information about the body reached the police station, all nearby police stations were alerted to help identify it. The news also reached the police station where Hemant's missing persons report had been filed. One officer there said, "Let's go and check, maybe it's him." So Hemant's brother, Manya, was called and brought in. He was taken to the morgue of a government hospital where he saw the body. Some clothes were still stuck to it, and from those clothes he identified that the body was indeed his brother Hemant's. He informed the police that it was his brother's body. Hemant had been murdered. The police, who hadn't even been seriously trying to search for him for the past 8 days, now realized he would never return. He was no longer in this world. For the first time, the police took the case seriously. They registered a case under Section 302 on murder and began a proper murder investigation. The first step was gathering all the information about Hemant from his brother and colleagues. Then they began analyzing his mobile phone's call data records as part of the investigation. After examining the call data, the police looked into where Hemant was reportedly last seen on February 7th when he went to deliver some items. Since then, his phone has been switched off. So the police started going through all the call detail records from February 7th. While investigating, they noticed the last number Hemant called. When they checked that number, the police called it. When they tried calling, the phone was switched off. When the police got involved, they pulled the call detail record of the number Hemant last called. They found out that the mobile number Hemant made his last call to had been switched off since February 7th. The same day Hemant went missing. This raised suspicions for the police. After that, the police team began checking what items were in the parcel and where the delivery was supposed to be made. When they checked further, they found that the last location he left for was an address in the same city. And the name written there was Hemant Dutta. Now, the police team reached the address where this courier boy was supposed to deliver the courier. When they went there, they searched for the apartment, but it turned out that this number didn't exist, and no one by that name lived there. Now the police wondered, since the last call was made, the phone has been switched off. The place where the last delivery was supposed to happen, the name written on that delivery was also fake. So what does this all mean? The police felt something was definitely wrong. Anyway, the police continued their investigation. Nearly 2 days had passed since the last contact. The body was found on February 16th. After the body was found, several police teams were assigned to the case. And police said, "Look around the town a little. If you see someone suspicious, catch them." This happens after big crimes. If the police have any doubt, they stop the vehicle, ask questions like, "Where are you coming from? Where are you going? What do you have with you?" This goes on often during policing, so the police were also told to be a little cautious, to question whoever seems suspicious, stop them, search them, check what they have with them. Just like that, on the 18th, a police patrol team was on duty on the road. The discovery of the body happened 2 days later on February 18th, 2023. At that time, the police team was patrolling when suddenly they noticed a young man coming from the opposite direction. He was walking very fast, and there was a somewhat heavy bag on his back. For some reason, the police noticed the way he was walking, looking around left and right, walking fast with quick steps. His entire body language, his movements, his speed, and the bag made them suspicious, as if he might be a thief or a robber. So, as he came closer, the police team stopped him. When police asked him where he was going and what he was doing, a look of nervousness would come over his face. The police asked, "What's with such heavy luggage? Open your bag." But he said, "I am just going out for a trip." The police thought if a person is going out, they usually pack clothes and other things. But when the police opened the bag, they found 4 pairs of slippers and 4 pairs of shoes. Good brand shoes, meaning 4 pairs of shoes and 4 pairs of slippers, were recovered from the bag. Now, when the police saw this, they wondered why this guy was carrying 4 pairs of shoes and slippers. Police asked, but he can't give a satisfactory answer. Now, the police get suspicious. She says, "Come on, let's go to the police station." Then the police take that young man to the station. After bringing him there, they sit him down and start questioning him. Meanwhile, this news spreads to other police stations that a boy has been caught and is at the station. Meanwhile, another team investigating Hemant's murder is also working on the case, also know about a suspicious person. Meanwhile, during the investigation, it was found that on February 7th, when Hemant left his company for the last time to make a delivery, he was supposed to deliver to a person named Hemant Datta, and after that, he had another delivery to make. That delivery included a total of 2 items. Apart from this, when the delivery list for that day was checked to see what was supposed to be delivered, it was found that Hemant had to deliver 4 pairs of slippers, 4 pairs of shoes, and 1 second-hand iPhone that day. As soon as the police learned that Hemant had to deliver 4 pairs of shoes and slippers, by evening the police team got information that they had caught a suspect and were investigating him. Then police came to that police station and asked the guy, "What's your name?" He said, "My name is Hemant Datta." As soon as the police heard the name, they became alert because the last order that had to be delivered on February 7 was under the name Hemant Datta. The police then checked everything about him and found out that he really was Hemant Datta. Many things matched with Hemant Datta. The police traced the location of Hemant Datta's phone again to see where his phone was on February 7th, and they also checked the location of the other Hemant, the deceased, who was killed. It was found that both phones were at the same location, so many things matched. The police then took Hemant in for questioning and questioned him thoroughly. After detailed questioning, Hemant told his story. In this story, many details came out. Hemant Datta also used to work as a courier boy at a courier company. He lived with his mother. His father had passed away. He had one brother who lived separately. A few months ago, in November of last year, his phone got stolen. He was fond of iPhones and wanted to have one. He thought, "What should I do now?" So he ordered a second-hand iPhone from the same courier company he used to work for. Since he had worked there before, he knew a lot about how the company operated. He had left the job and was currently unemployed. He needed an iPhone because he had lost his previous one. He was determined to get one at any cost. One day he suddenly saw an ad, a second-hand iPhone for $45K. He booked it, thinking, "I'll manage to gather $45K in a few days." But, coincidentally, by the delivery date, he couldn't arrange the money. The delivery was scheduled for February 7th. He had given his address under a fake name. That evening, Hemant, the delivery guy, reached his house. Hemant handed over the iPhone box. But the customer said, "No, open the box first." because often people complain that the box contains a brick or a cheap phone instead of an iPhone. Hemant agreed. The customer offered him some water and said, "Would you like some water?" As Hemant started opening the iPhone box to show the contents, the customer got up to fetch the water. His mother wasn't at home that day. He goes into the kitchen, brings a heavy object, and hits Hemant on the head from behind. Covered in blood, Hemant collapses. Then he stabs him multiple times with a knife. After he is convinced that Hemant is dead, he drags the body to the bathroom and cleans up the blood. He then looks at the rest of the courier package he had to deliver. He had brought a large bag, the kind usually used for deliveries. Inside it were 4 pairs of slippers from a good brand. He slowly takes them out one by one and waits for nightfall. After cleaning everything up, he steps out. He buys a large sack, fearing that if the body remained there, he would be caught. He stuffs the body into the sack and waits for night. Then he buys kerosene oil. At night, he packs the body in the sack, carries it downstairs, places it on his scooter, and rides far from his neighborhood, near a deserted railway bridge. There, he pours kerosene over the sack and sets it on fire. After doing all this, he returns, switches off his phone, and disappears, because even after ordering the iPhone, he hadn't managed to arrange the remaining $45K. And he thought he probably wouldn't get the phone, but since the phone was being delivered, he decided that he wouldn't pay the courier boy. Whatever the payment method was, since it was a cash-on-delivery order, he refused to pay and ended up killing the courier boy just to get the phone for free. In this entire case, the police solved it using just his last order, last call, and the 4 pairs of shoes and slippers. That's how they caught the killer. Later, he said in court multiple times that it was his first crime and asked for leniency considering his age, which is 24. But the court rejected his bail every single time. Currently, he is still in judicial custody and in jail. So this was today's story. Thank you for joining us on this journey today. We hope you enjoyed the content and found it valuable. Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we are going to take a look at another real story with you. Today's story is about Hira Mandi, a place once known as the Diamond Market, later called the Royal Neighborhood, and at times referred to as the Neighborhood of Grace, a place of literature, poetry, refined conversation, and cultured living. It was the kind of neighborhood where even royal families used to send their princes to learn proper etiquette, how to talk in society, how to carry themselves, how to behave in gatherings. All of this story is about that very Hira Mandi, a small area, a tiny neighborhood in Lahore. And even today, Hira Mandi still exists there. And coincidentally, this is one of the world's oldest professions that has been going on for centuries, prostitution, which still exists there today. However, when India and Pakistan were partitioned and Pakistan became a new country, many people frowned upon Hira Mandi. Respectable people called it a stain on their city and demanded it be removed. But those same people would secretly head toward Hira Mandi under the cover of night. Downstairs of Hira Mandi, there are all kinds of shops, selling various musical instruments, food stalls, and eateries. But as evening falls, those shops shut down, and a different kind of marketplace comes alive. Back in Emperor Akbar's era, when India and Pakistan were one before partition, Lahore was a significant city, especially in terms of trade. During that time, the royal Mughal family lived in a particular area, which came to be known as the Royal Neighborhood. This entire area of Lahore became famous by the name Royal Neighborhood. Within this royal area, there was one particular section, what you might call a kotha, a traditional performance house. Back in those days, classical dance performances, known as mudra, were held there. Mudra is a legacy of the Mughals, a distinct form of dance and art. Back then, it wasn't viewed in a negative light. Instead, it was considered a refined art form, and the women who lived in those places and performed mudra saw themselves as artists. They were highly respected. During the Mughal era, even princes were sent to these establishments to learn about art and culture. Poetry and literature were taught there, as well as how to write and speak with grace. These places were considered hubs of etiquette and refinement, not just royal neighborhoods but cultural centers. During the Mughal period, these places held great prestige and were seen as respectable institutions. But then, later it is said that Ahmad Shah Abdali came and attacked this area. He brought with him many Uzbek and Afghan women and settled them right here in the royal neighborhood. Gradually, royal neighborhood began to be known as Hira Mandi. That's when prostitution started taking place here. Eventually, all the women and people of Hira Mandi were forced onto the path of prostitution. Originally, their real art was mudra, dance, classical Indian dance, especially Kathak, for which Hira Mandi was once famous. In those days, grand gatherings used to be held there specifically for these performances. But when the British arrived, they completely changed the identity of Hira Mandi. It eventually turned into just another red light area. Then in 1947, the British left, and India and Pakistan became two separate countries. Hira Mandi's fate was the same even back then, but the real story is something else. It is said that once upon a time, Hira Mandi in Lahore was home to an incredibly beautiful courtesan. People were crazy about her performances. Nobles, wealthy families, and influential people would come to Hira Mandi specifically to watch this one stunning girl perform. Her name was Nigo, though her real name was Nargis. Everyone lovingly called her Nigo. This was the era of Nigo, and it was because of her that Hira Mandi was so well known. People were crazy about her beauty, her charm, and her dance. In a way, the entire Hira Mandi thrived because of Nigo. It was vibrant and full of life. Everything revolved around her during that time. This was also the period when films had just started being made in India. In fact, the first film was made in 1913 by Dadasaheb Phalke. But back then, no woman or girl was willing to act in films. Back then, working in films was considered a very bad thing, so even the role of the heroine used to be played by men dressed in women's clothes, and they were presented as female characters that way. It was really difficult to find actresses. That's when culture began in both India and Pakistan. Women from good families wouldn't work in films. Today, as you can see, getting a role in movies isn't seen the same way anymore. But back then, people would turn to the red light areas for heroines. Film directors and producers thought that maybe people from here could work, and there were many who had worked in Hindustani films from Hira Mandi. Many from Hira Mandi had worked in Pakistan, and among them was Nargis, also known as Nigo, whose beauty, charm, and dance had all of Lahore captivated. At that time, there was a producer there who was looking for a heroine, but no heroine was willing to work. So one day the producer came to Hira Mandi and saw the place where Nigo used to perform dance and mudra shows. It always had the biggest crowd. So when they wondered why there was such a large crowd, they decided to become part of that crowd themselves and went to the venue. After that, they watched the mudra. When they saw Nargis perform, they were deeply impressed by her beauty, her charm, and her dance. They immediately decided to cast her in their next film. After that, they spoke to Nigo, who also wanted to leave Hira Mandi. She agreed right away. The first film Nargis got in 1964 was called Ishrat. And in this film, she had a full dance sequence. She became very famous in Pakistan. After that, a series of films started and she worked in about 80 to 100 movies. She was a courtesan from Hira Mandi, and most of the films included dance items featuring her. After entering the film industry, her popularity soared and she became a big star. Life was going quite well for her. Meanwhile, the 1970s arrived. There was a producer named Khwaja Mazhar, a big name in Pakistani films. He had watched many of her movies. One day he went to Nargis and said he wanted to cast her in his film called Kasu. She was cast, and during the shooting of the film, love blossomed between Mazhar and Nargis. This was also like a movie story, but the real story outside the screen was that when they fell in love, one day Khwaja Mazhar proposed to Nargis, saying, "I love you and I want to marry you." Nargis felt that this would help her shed the label of being a courtesan from Hira Mandi. A decent man, respected in his society, was ready to make her his wife. After that, the two got married, although both their families were against the marriage. Khwaja Mazhar's family opposed it because she was a courtesan, and Nigo's family opposed it because her parents, who lived in Hira Mandi, believed that if Nigo got married and moved into a respectable life and world, then how would they survive? They depended on their daughter's earnings, so it was a big hardship for them as well. Both families made great efforts to somehow stop this marriage, but Mazhar and Nigo went ahead and got married. At that time, there was a custom, a rule in Hira Mandi, that if a girl from Hira Mandi left the area, got married, or went into another business, the man who took her away had to pay a fixed amount to her parents in Hira Mandi. Only then was the girl considered free, because the relatives in Hira Mandi depended on her. This was a rule. So, when this rule was in place, many attempts were made to stop the marriage, but she was determined to marry. In the end, they used this very rule and law as their reference. They said you both got married and Nigo left, so at least give the compensation that's fixed. Khwaja, who is a prominent director and producer, is also a big man with connections to influential people in society and even the government. He said, "This isn't about all that. She's my wife. Why should I give money for her? I'm not buying her." Because of this, there was a big uproar between both families. The family of Nigo was also upset because they were marrying through Tawaf, but they weren't getting any money. And they kept talking to Nigo again and again. But Nigo felt that if she wanted to live an honest life, then this would have to continue. However, Nigo was happy as invitations kept coming from the diamond market, especially to her mother, asking her to come, but she would refuse. After Nigo, the family's financial situation got really bad because that diamond market's biggest and most valuable diamond was hers. In a way, the diamond market was thriving because of her. Now that's gone. What can they do? This really hurt her parents, especially her mother, who felt that if her daughter came back, their lives would get better again and wealth would come. They tried hard to bring the girl back, but Nigo never returned. In the end, Nigo's mother played a trick. She said, "Well, she's not coming back on her own." So she sent a message to Nigo. The message said, "I'm on my deathbed now. I could die at any moment. I'm seriously ill. My last wish is to see you just once. Show me your face so I can die in peace." Now, Nigo was still a daughter. Her mother had raised her, cared for her, and made her who she was. That message hit her hard. She told her husband, Khwaja Mazhar, "I just want to see my mother one last time. Who knows if I'll ever get another chance? Her condition is very serious." Khwaja Mazhar understood. It was her right as a daughter, so both of them agreed and gave her permission. After several years of marriage, Nigo stepped into Hira Mandi once again. The whole family there was overjoyed, but in reality, her mother was completely fine. She was just pretending to be sick. Then the mother said, "Just stay for a few days. As soon as I take my last breath and my soul leaves, then you can go." Caught up in emotion, Nigo agreed to stay by her mother's side in Hira Mandi. During this stay, her mother, sisters, and brother all slowly started brainwashing her. They kept telling her that life is not for you. Mazhar is not the right man for you. That marriage means nothing. Stay here. Live life on your own terms. You're doing so well in films. Keep doing it from here itself." Days went by. Meanwhile, Mazar kept calling, asking her to return. "How is your mother's health?" he'd ask. She'd reply, "She's better, but still not well enough." He kept calling her to come back, but Nigo's mother kept convincing her to stay. Gradually, the things her mother and siblings were saying started settling in her mind. Her brain was, in a way, completely washed. Now, even when Mazar would call, she'd just say, "Just a few more days, a little longer." And a lot of time passed like that. Now even Mazar started to feel that something was wrong. He had called her many times, but she didn't come. One day, Khwaja Mazar himself went to Hira Mandi and directly went upstairs to her house. He asked, "Where is she?" He met her mother and said, "Look, your mother is feeling fine now. Let's go back." This was on January 5th, 1972. On that day, Khwaja Mazar went to the same brothel in Hira Mandi, where Nigo's family lived. But Nigo had already been brainwashed by her mother, sister, and everyone around her. She said, "No, I don't want to go right now. I want to stay here with my mother for a few more days." He tried every possible way to convince her. He even said, "Let's take your mother to a good hospital. I can show her to some of the best doctors. I can afford it." Mazar did everything he could in his own way. He said, "If she's sick, I'll get her admitted to a hospital." But if she hadn't been brainwashed, maybe she would have agreed. But her mind was on a completely different path now. Khwaja Mazar tried to make her understand in every way. Her husband pleaded with her too, but she didn't listen. In the end, an argument broke out between the two. In a fit of rage, Khwaja Mazar pulled a pistol from his pocket and fired several bullets at once. The initial bullets hit Nigo. After that, 2 musicians present there were shot, and one of them was Nigo's uncle. In total, 4 people were killed on the spot. Chaos broke out immediately. Others arrived and Khwaja Mazar was caught and handed over to the police. The police took him into custody. Nigo succumbed to her injuries and died. She was buried in Lahore, near Hira Mandi. A trial was held against Khwaja Mazar. He was charged with the murder of his own wife, 2 musicians, and his wife's uncle. Following the trial, he was sentenced to life imprisonment. However, within 7 years of being in prison, Khwaja Mazar died due to illness. He too was buried in Lahore. Even today, the story of Khwaja Mazar and Nigo, also known as Nargis, is well known in Lahore's Hira Mandi. Hira Mandi still exists. In the evenings, one can still hear the sound of anklets. During the day, it's a regular marketplace with shops, but by evening, a different kind of bazaar comes alive, a place where respected and well-dressed members of society visit. However, the world's oldest profession has taken a new form in the age of social media, which has affected the trade significantly. The business is no longer thriving, and many of the women involved, courtesans and dancers, are now living in poverty. This was the story of Lahore's Hira Mandi. Thank you for joining us on this journey today. We hope you enjoyed the content and found it valuable.